From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Tonight on Y News, Solon accuses the Labor Department of charging overseas Filipino workers for an identification card which should be given for free. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board defers distribution of fuel voucher cards anew. And retrenched PLDT workers protest at Mendiola over failed dialogue attempt with President Rodrigo Duterte. Good evening. A lawmaker accuses the Labor Department of charging overseas Filipino workers for an identification card which should be given for free. He also branded Dole's ID project as useless. Monokson tells us why.
Some overseas Filipino workers posted in social media their grievances of having to pay for an OFW card which should be given for free. Among them is Zepora Gonzaga, who has been working in Singapore for the past 5 years. She says the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration offered her the OFW ID or iDole card, but she did not take it when she was asked to pay for 720 pesos.
Sa akin po, hindi ko na po kailangan yun kasi magbabayad pa ako ng 720. Meron namang OEC na libre o mag-login ka lang sa BIM online na OEC exemption. Makukuha mo na yung papel na ipakita mo sa immigration, yun na lang yun. Wala pang bayad.
Dole previously said that the ID card has great value as a substitute for the Overseas Employment Certificate, but according to ex-OFW Party List Representative Aniceto Bertiz, it is just an ordinary card that no machine can read. He also slams Dole for charging OFWs for the cards that his group donated as a show of support and gratitude to President Rodrigo Duterte.
Pagka tinuloy niyo yan, sasampahan ko kayo ng reklamo sa Congress kasi it was donated for you for free. Bakit i-charge yung aking sektor ng ganung kalaki?
In a statement, Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said that the employer should be the one to pay for the card and not the OFWs themselves. Meanwhile, Congressman Bertiz also accuses Bello and Presidential Communications Assistant Secretary Chris Ablan of spreading lies against him. Ablan allegedly said that Bertiz issued a statement hitting the Duterte administration for doing nothing for the sake of the OFWs.
Lalong-lalo ka na, Asik Ablan, you should not be in the Presidential Communication Office because you are spreading fake news and fake statement na nagkakaproblema ang ating pamahalaan dahil sa taong katulad mo na hindi nag-iisip.
Ablan is yet to comment on the issue. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Philippine Ambassador to Brazil Marichu Barredo Mauro is pushing for the opening of a Philippine embassy in Colombia after meeting with the Filipino community in Bogota. Tito Paz tells us why.
The Filipino community in Colombia met with the Philippine Ambassador to Brazil Marichu Mauro for the first time in Bogota last week. Ambassador Mauro announced the plans of the Philippine government to establish an embassy in Bogota in the near future to provide further diplomatic representations and more consular services. Presently, the Philippines only has a consulate office in Bogota led by the outgoing Philippine Honorary Consul, Consuelo Acosta. And if Filipinos need to process their immigration documents, they would have to travel to Brazil to do so.
Re-recommenda ko po yan at sa Department of Foreign Affairs at para ho magkaroon ng mga services. Ang mga Pilipino hindi na kailangan pumunta ng Brasilia.
Based on records, there are more than 150 Filipinos legally living and working in Colombia. This is aside from the Filipino seafarers who set foot in the country during their vessel port calls. Most of them are employed as engineers and support technicians in multinational companies. Others work in education sector, while some are religious missionaries.
Makapasok as English teacher.
Despite their small number, Filipinos are highly regarded by the Colombian society because of their work ethics and industry. Meanwhile, some Filipinos who are born in Colombian soil are also taught Filipino values and cultures to cherish and remember their roots.
Due to the influence of my parents in our house, I feel more Filipina than a Colombian.
The Filipino community in Colombia hopes their number here would further grow with the realization of the planned Philippine Embassy opening in the coming years. Tito Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Bogota, Colombia.
Thousands of retrenched PLDT workers hold a protest at Mendiola in Manila after a failed attempt to have a dialogue with President Rodrigo Duterte today. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
Around 10,000 contractual workers of the Philippine Long Distance Telephone Company or PLDT occupy Mendiola Peace Arc this morning. The group took to Mendiola after failing their attempt to march to Malacañang to have a dialogue with President Rodrigo Duterte over their contract service termination. The workers claim to have sent a letter to the office of the President last July 6, 2018 stating their request. However, they have not received any response. They also say that no one from Malacañang faced them upon reaching the gates. The PLDT workers wanted to talk and ask help from the President to urge PLDT to comply with the Labor Department's order to regularize its over 7,000 contractual workers.
Siya mayroong programa nito yung end of contractualization. Hindi nga pinatutupad ng basta-basta. Katulad ngayon, halos 2 months na itong order ng writ of execution ng Department of Labor. Pero sinasabi ng PLDT na nagko-comply siya pero wala pa rin nare-regular hanggang ngayon. Kaya wala kaming pagsusumbungan kundi sa Pangulo natin Duterte.
Jordan Cabalquinto is among the protesting workers. He says he served PLDT for over a decade, but instead of making him regular, the company even terminated his service.
Kung anong ginagawa ng mga PLDT regular, yun po yung ginagawa namin. Kapag may benepisyo yung mga regular, kami na kasama na nagpapalago ng kita ng PLDT, ay hindi kami nakakasama sa mga benepisyo na yun.
Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello met with the group yesterday to assure them with PLDT's compliance to their order. The PLDT, meanwhile, is yet to comment on the statement of Bello about the company's executives being the owner of the service providers, which allegedly hampers the workers' regularization. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board postpones anew the planned distribution of fuel vouchers to legitimate jeepney operators. The agency is supposed to launch the fuel vouchers today but deferred it at the last minute due to some adjustments made in the system. This stemmed from the decision of the stakeholders to release the 5,000 peso subsidy at one time instead of distributing it monthly by 800 pesos as initially planned. The Land Bank of the Philippines meanwhile assures they can manage the adjustment in the process to finally launch the fuel vouchers on July 17. The LTFRB first postponed the release of the fuel vouchers last July 5, asking for more time to polish the system.
Binago yung amount. Ginawang one time 5,000. Ngayon ko lang nalaman. Hindi na namin itutuloy yung distribution ng 833. Plus, hihingi kami ng pondo. Kasi ang hawak namin pondo para lang sa 1 month. No. Yan. So, funding at saka correcting the amount, matatapos yan sa Monday. Kaya ang distribution will be Tuesday.
A group of UV Express drivers and operators are asking the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board to allow them to increase the fare by 1 peso per kilometer. Here's why from Bernard Daddies.
Following the implementation of a 1 peso provisional hike in the minimum fare of jeepneys in Metro Manila, Calabarzon and Central Luzon, a group of UV Express drivers and operators is also looking to follow suit. In a supplemental petition filed earlier at the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, the Coalition of Operators, Drivers and Employees or CODEX is seeking to increase fare by 1 peso per kilometer. The group last filed its petition for fare hike, but the LTFRB has yet to issue its decision. According to Codex President Rosalino Marable, their members are already lamenting the loss of income due to the surging fuel prices. They also believe it is high time to increase their rates because they last implemented hike 10 years ago.
Linggo-linggo po, tumataas ang presyo ng diesel, tumataas ang presyo ng mga ibang bilihin. Kung kaya po kami, kahit nahihiya po kami sa mga pasahero, ay napipilitan na po kaming humingi ng fare increase.
The group is presently charging its passengers 2 pesos per kilometer. If the LTFRB grants the petition, the minimum fare for the UB Express will become 36 pesos. The group meanwhile questions the LTFRB's plans to distribute fuel vouchers only to jeepney drivers.
Yung nga po parang unfair po yun kasi pare-pares lang kami pare-pares lang kami sa kalsada na bubuhay. Ba't sila lang ang may benepisyo, kami wala?
But LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra says they do not hold the power to decide over the recipient of the fuel subsidy program.
I will have to defer the matter to Congress kasi sila po yung nagbigay ng ayuda sa PUJ sector. So we leave that to the judgment of Congress.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
President Rodrigo Duterte is looking to issue an executive order to conduct a localized peace talks with the communist rebels. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte held a special meeting with his cabinet security cluster in Malacañang yesterday. Among the things discussed is the possibility of conducting localized peace talks with the communist rebels if the National Democratic Front Peace Panel will reject the conditions laid out by President Rodrigo Duterte to resume the peace talks.
Kung ayaw ni Joe Maciso na dito sa Pilipinas makipag-usap at kung hindi makakasunod dun sa ilang kondisyon ng ating gobyerno na habang nag-uusap, bibigyan ang kapangyarihan ng ating mga local government officials para mag-engage in localized peace talks.
Also discussed in the meeting was the guidelines for the localized peace talks, which will be orchestrated by the national government. It should also be centrally directed and locally supervised and implemented. The constitutional integrity and sovereignty will not be compromised, as well as the security and safety of the public will be ensured if there is a ceasefire. The enabling environment set by the President for the formal local talks to proceed is a local venue. No coalition government or power sharing, no extortion, no revolutionary taxes, and no violent activities. Malacañang says President Duterte will issue an executive order to formally introduce the localized peace talks.
So magkakaroon po ng executive order na that will spell out the guidelines that were agreed upon yesterday, no?
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
A stronger anti-hazing act carrying harsher penalties is set to be implemented in the country. Here's why from Joan Nano.
President Rodrigo Duterte signs on Wednesday the Anti-Hazing Act of 2018, which strictly prohibits all forms of hazing among fraternities, sororities, and any school organization, offices, and uniformed learning institution. The amended law expanded the definition of the term hazing to include physical or psychological suffering, harm or injury inflicted on a recruit, neophyte, applicant, or member as part of an initiation rite or a recruitment for continuing membership in a fraternity or sorority or organization. The amended law also provides harsher penalties, as those who planned or participated in the hazing will face a penalty of reclusion perpetua and a 3 million peso fine if the hazing resulted to death, rape, mutilation, or sodomy, thus amending the previous measure which merely regulates it. Also, the new law penalizes attempts to cover up the hazing activities. The Anti-Hazing Acts of 2018 strengthens the existing Anti-Hazing Act of 1995, which was criticized for being toothless, with only one conviction since it was enacted into law 23 years ago. It has been 10 months since the death of UST law student Horacio Acho Castillo III after a hazing initiation by members of the Aegis Juris Fraternity. Though the suspects in the case are now behind bars, his parents still grieve for the loss of their only son.
I know it's not coming back, and for us parang tumigil yung time. I was wishing sana yung time na yon. Sana classes were called off siguro. Or sana na flat tire ako. Or sana that day umulan. Para hindi sana natuloy. Because hindi ko alam mapapahamak yung anak ko. I had no idea. The next day na yung susunod kong malalaman is patay na siya.
In the morning, paggising namin, kulang pa rin eh. Yung, ma, gisingin mo ako ng 6, may class kasi ako ng ganito. So, wala nang nagsasabi ng ganon. Yun yung mahirap for us, yun yung masakit sa amin. Yung, kasi, yung 4 lang kami. It's always us 4 lang eh. Eh, nabawasan pa kami ng isa. It's talagang miss namin siya.
Despite what happened to their son, Carmina still looks at the positive side of school organizations such as fraternity. However, she says hazing should not be used as a measure of someone's loyalty to the group.
Yung nature of brotherhood, para yung barkada mo eh. Pero yung ganitong organization, sasali ka just to prove your loyalty. I think it's wrong. Nasasaktan ka just to prove your loyalty. Your loyalty belongs to your parents, your family, with God, and with country, not with people like this.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The preparations of the Senate and the House of Representatives for the third State of the Nation address of President Rodrigo Duterte is now in full swing. But some changes are made in the program for this year's SONA. Grace Casin tells us why.
House Secretary General Cesar Pareja, Senate Secretary Mirna Villarica, and House Sergeant-at-Arms Roland de Tabali make rounds inside the House of Representatives where President Rodrigo Duterte is expected to pass through during his third State of the Nation address. House Sergeant-at-Arms de Tabali says there is no imminent threat, but they will still be strict in implementing security in the vicinity. They will deploy K9 units inside and outside of the Batasan.
We impose a lockdown period, meaning 3 days before the SONA. Only those who have access to work here, to deliver supplies, and work on the other on the facilities preparing for the SONA will be allowed to access. No? We have more agencies, forces, and equipment that can deal with any emergencies now.
Director Joyce Bernal also inspected the plenary. Malacañang earlier pronounced it chose Bernal to handle this year's SONA production, replacing Director Brillante Mendoza.
Tinitingnan namin yung daanan ni Presidente, yung ilaw na pwede namin ikabit. Gusto ko lang na medyo patriotic lang yung ano.
House Secretary General Pareja says they made some changes in the program, starting with the singing of the national anthem, which will be sung by a choir from Tagum City. Invitations have also been sent out early to the previous presidents and to Vice President Leni Robredo.
If they confirm their attendance, we will send them the actual invitation. It's hand-delivered.
3,000 guests are expected to attend the SONA. They will be serving Filipino and Spanish dishes during the event. Pareja also reminds guests attending SONA to wear business attire instead of gowns. Guests are also requested to come early because the plenary hall will be closed at 3 in the afternoon, as SONA will be start at 4 o'clock. Meanwhile, Makabayan Bloc and other militant groups are now preparing for their People's SONA to be conducted along with the President's SONA.
Makikita natin no, ang pinakamalaking People's SONA. Kilos protesta ito laban sa ikalawang taon ng paghahari at paghasik ng lagim ng Duterte administration. No?
Grace Casin, UNTV, News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Up next on Y News. Banners declaring the Philippines as a province of China appear in various parts of Metro Manila as the country marks the second year of its arbitral ruling victory in the West Philippine Sea dispute. the Philippine National Police to open gun amnesty program to millions of owners of loose firearms. Thank you for keeping me company in the first part of Y News. More reasons behind the stories with Angelo Castro III and William Thio after this quick break. I'm Rheena Villamor-Camara. Good evening.
Mayor Paint. With Mayor, you paint more while you pay less.
Walking through the fire, please don't let me go. Take me to the river, I need you to know.
Kababayan diha sa Cebu, mauna jud ni mahitabo na ang akong homecoming concert. Morissette is Made, happening on July 14 at the Waterfront Hotel, Lahug. You guys can get tickets sa mga ticket outlets right there. We be like that, 'cause I'm yours. What can I say that I'm in love? I want it shining from the rooftop. And I hope to see all of you there.
Get ready for your dive of a lifetime. The first and only reality diving show in the Philippines will come your way on your Saturday afternoons. Dive Philippines. This one-of-a-kind 30-minute diving show will open your eyes to a world below the seas that you've never seen before. Let's stroll around the Philippines and search for the most amazing dive site to be seen. All these and a lot more coming your way every Saturdays 5:30 to 6 p.m.
It's the wonder of God's creation that makes us believe. See what the dive.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Rheena Villamor-Camara left off. I'm Angelo Castro III, and here are the headlines. 73% of Filipinos believe the Philippines should assert rights over West Philippine Sea, according to the latest Pulse Asia survey. The Consultative Committee finalizes provisions on the election of transitory president and vice president under federal constitution. And the Philippine National Police eyes politics in the killing of Tawi-Tawi Vice Mayor Al-Rashid Muhammad Ali. Good evening. Banners declaring the Philippines as a province of China sprouts in various parts of Metro Manila as the country marks the second year of its victory in the arbitral ruling in the West Philippine Sea dispute. Meanwhile, Vice President Leni Robredo and Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio are calling on the government not to waste the country's win over its dispute with China. Maya Bermudez will tell us why.
These banners containing the words "Welcome to the Philippines, Province of China" with corresponding Chinese characters appeared in several parts of Metro Manila. But according to presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque, the government has nothing to do with it, and it seems to be a clear attempt to destroy the administration.
It's absurd, and I'm sure it's the enemies of our government behind it. So, to them, try again.
The Bayan Muna party list, however, denies any hand in the hanging of the banners, saying they will not waste money on such stunt.
Malayong kami ang gumawa noon dahil
Mas maraming makabuluhang bagay na pagkakagastahan ang halimbawa ang Makabayan Block, no? Lalo na sa paghahanda natin sa darating na SONA at hindi yung mga ganon.
The hanging of these tarpaulins coincided with the marking of the second-year anniversary of the Philippines' victory in the arbitral ruling in the West Philippine Sea dispute over China. According to Vice President Leni Robredo and Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio, this win should not be wasted even if 2 years have already passed.
Unfortunately for the Philippines, after the award was issued, President Rodrigo Duterte hemmed and hawed whether to demand compliance from China.
We can still prove that adherence to the rule of law is still more powerful than any uncertainty that can pull us apart. This is the day to celebrate that decision.
In the historical decision of the International Tribunal UNCLOS, China's 9-dash line was invalidated and ruled that China has no legal basis to extract resources from the surrounding areas. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Majority of Filipinos believe that the country has the right to assert sovereignty over the West Philippine Sea and uphold its victory in the arbitral ruling in 2016. Majority of Filipinos believe that the country has the right to assert sovereignty over the West Philippine Sea and uphold its victory in the arbitral ruling in 2016. Based on the latest Pulse Asia survey, 73% of Filipinos agreed, while 7% disagreed. 17% are neutral, while 2% admits no knowledge on the said issue. The survey was conducted on June 15 to 25th, participated by 1,800 respondents, and commissioned by Stratbay's Albert Del Rosario Institute. In a 2016 survey, 84% of Filipinos also agreed that sovereign rights in a disputed territory should be asserted. Senate President Vicente Sotto III will prioritize the deliberation on the draft federal charter before resolving the proposed postponement of the 2019 midterm polls. But according to Senator Francis Escudero, deferring the upcoming polls without amending the Constitution is impossible. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The consultative committee tasked by President Rodrigo Duterte to review the 1987 Constitution has submitted to the Senate today the copy of its draft federal charter. According to its chairman, former Supreme Court Chief Justice Rheena, they have already finalized the transitory provision on the election of the President and Vice President under the federal transitory government as requested by Duterte.
Yesterday, we have finalized the transitory provision. We incorporated.
The Senate is set to begin studying the proposal, though its formal endorsement by the President is expected on the day of the SONA. According to Senate President Vicente Sotto III, he will call for a caucus to tackle the draft federal charter to reconcile their position on the mode of amending or revising the Constitution. He wants to prioritize this before resolving other issues like the proposed postponement of May 2019 elections.
We call for a Constituent Assembly. If we've indeed passed a joint resolution calling for one, then we can decide if we can finish it by December or not and postpone elections.
Like House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, Senator Sotto believes that the no-election scenario in 2019 is possible by passing a law. It also possible to hold the referendum simultaneous with the 2019 midterm elections. But Senator Francis Escudero begs to differ, saying that unlike barangay elections, the local and national elections cannot be postponed without amending the Constitution.
Ang paniniwala ko hindi pwedeng i-legislate yun dahil maliwanag sa saligang batas na nakasad doon. Ang termino ng congressman ay 3 taon at magkakaroon ng halalan kada 3 taon. Ang termino ng mga miyembro ng Senado ay 6 na taon at magkakaroon ng halalan kada 3 taon.
He also believes they will not be able to finish deliberating the proposed charter change by December since they will be swamped with budget hearings. Some senators seeking re-election will also be busy campaigning once they file their certificates of candidacy in October. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Malacañang assures that the 2019 midterm elections will proceed as scheduled. This is the response of the palace to the suggestion of House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez to postpone the upcoming polls to give the lawmakers ample time to study the proposed federal charter.
Ang presidente po ang tagapagpatupad ng ating saligang batas hanggang hindi po mababago ang petsa ng halalan na nakasaad sa ating saligang batas. Patutupad po yan ng presidente, matutuloy po ang eleksyon ng 2019. Ang only possibility po kung ma-ratify ng mas maaga itong proposed new constitution.
The Philippine National Police is contemplating on opening a gun amnesty program to owners of loose firearms in the country. Victor Cosare explains why.
Following the spate of killings against local executives by suspects using unregistered firearms, the Philippine National Police is now considering to implement a gun amnesty program. PNP Chief Director General Oscar Albayalde believes the measure could curb crimes involving loose firearms and would encourage owners to apply for an official license.
That's one way na ma-account natin itong mga more or less na 1 million na estimate natin. These are just estimate.
The PNP chief adds they will intensify police crackdown through improving intelligence gathering, checkpoints, Oplan Sita and Oplan Bakal towards recovering unregistered gun units across the country.
Yung pinaigting natin na intelligence build-up on owners or possessors ng loose firearms. Lalong-lalo na yung mga tinatawag nating suspected natin na gun for hire or even yung private armed groups na sinasabi. Kaya nga magbigay tayo ng direktiba sa ating kapulisan on the ground to intensify yung kanilang pag-account ng mga loose firearms, no? At pag-aresto ng mga most wanted persons sa kanilang mga areas of jurisdiction.
Albayalde stresses that there is no way gun owners will not renew or register their units or acquire a license to own and possess firearms, given that there is an operational one-stop shop for fast processing of gun license at the PNP headquarters in Camp Crame. Owners may also opt to apply online or in LTOP caravans in their area. The PNP, as always, remind gun owners and enthusiasts to be responsible when carrying or using firearms and be of help to the authorities in combating crimes, especially that the 2019 midterm election is drawing near. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Zamboanga City Police is looking at politics as the motive behind the murder of Tawi-Tawi Vice Mayor Al-Rashid Muhammad Ali. They are also probing possible links between the death of Ali and another local official who was gunned down recently. Charlie Barredo tells us why.
Another local official was killed, and this time it's the vice mayor of Sapa-Sapa town in Tawi-Tawi named Al-Rashid Muhammad Ali. The victim was on board his vehicle when shot dead by motorcycle-riding gunmen while traversing the Governor Alvarez Street. He was traveling with his family and a security escort when the ambush happened. He died in the hospital after sustaining 2 gunshot wounds in his chest. Zamboanga City Police Chief Senior Superintendent Alan Nazaro says they are looking at politics behind the killing of Ali because the victim is set to run for mayor in next year's election.
Father. He is being groomed to run for mayor.
Initial police investigation also shows that Ali was facing threats prior to his assassination yesterday. The PNP is now reviewing CCTV footages in the area to gather some information on the possible identity of the assailants. Police investigators are also coordinating with the Tawi-Tawi authorities to probe the possible links between Ali's death and a Sapa-Sapa treasurer who was also gunned down recently. This was after the vice mayor's family have expressed suspicion about the perpetrators in the 2 cases.
Sabi nung daughter, they're saying that the description of the gunman in Tawi-Tawi fits the description of the gunman last night. Nakita niya pero mabilis eh.
The death of Ali comes after the murder of 13 Martires, Vice Mayor Alex Lubigan, General Thio Mayor Ferdinand Bote, and Tanawan Mayor Antonio Halili. Charlie Barredo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Philippine National Police have identified the alleged mastermind behind the murder of General Thio Nueva Ecija Mayor Ferdinand Bote. According to PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde, arrested gunmen Florencio Suarez and Robert Gumacay revealed to authorities the name of the person who ordered Bote's killing. However, he cannot disclose any details yet because of the ongoing investigation. Suarez and Gumacay were arrested at a checkpoint in Camarines Sur on Wednesday after Bote was killed in an ambush last July 3.
Yung binanggit niyang tao, which we cannot name it right now, is a subject of our manhunt. He is now a person of interest.
The National Food Authority fast-tracks the completion of its rice importation. The agency also launches a 24-hour hotline against rice trading irregularities. Kathy Magalang tells us why.
At least 197,400 metric tons of imported rice from Thailand and Vietnam have already arrived in the country as of July 10, while the additional 52,600 metric tons is set to arrive within the month. The National Food Authority also reports that out of the 5 million bags of imported rice, they already distributed over 200,000 bags of rice to the market, and approximately 1.7 million bags of rice are stored in their warehouses. With this, the agency expects a decrease in the prices of commercial rice by 1 to 2 pesos per kilo, while the well-milled NFA rice is being sold at 27 pesos and 32 pesos per kilo.
We have enough stocks na tayo, particularly in Bicol area. But in Region 8, medyo alanganin pa, wala pa tayong supply doon.
And to prevent any more shortages and possible diversion of rice stocks, the NFA launched its 24-hour Contra Abuso hotline. It aims to encourage the public to report and complain about any abuse and irregularities in the rice trading by calling or texting the number 0927-871-5921. NFA assures to take action on urgent complaints within 72 hours, in line with President Duterte's anti-corruption campaign.
Huwag matakot, magsumbong. Ito na yung panahon na dapat pagkatiwalaan nyo kami, ang gobyerno ngayon, seryoso tayo laban sa korupsyon.
Aside from the 8888 and NFA hotlines, its personnel will also monitor local markets to ensure enough supply of rice. Kathy Maglalang, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Bureau of Customs intercepts more than 66 million pesos worth of smuggled goods and beauty products at the Manila International Container Port. The agency is now considering whether to destroy or auction the seized items. JL Asayo tells us why.
Operatives of the Bureau of Customs have confiscated various brands of counterfeit beauty products and items that are estimated to worth 66.4 million pesos. The products that were shipped in 7 containers include cosmetic products, fake watches, shoes, industrial air conditioners, and even different chemicals for agriculture. 2 of the 7 containers are consigned to Scadi Trading, but it cannot present the necessary certificate of product registration issued by the Food and Drugs Administration. While the 5 other containers from China listed the Hepamlan Trading and its consignee were seized for misdeclaration, lack of import permits, lack of sanitary and phytosanitary import clearance, and for violating Intellectual Property Act of the Philippines.
There will be a forfeiture proceedings, and ang allowed na number of days niyan is 30 days. And then after that is at the district level. And then after the forfeiture proceedings, then it will go to the office of the commissioner, and that will also go through a legal review.
BOC will decide in 40 days on whether to destroy or auction the seized products depending on its safety. The agency also warns illicit traders anew of facing grave charges amid the government's intensified campaign against smuggling. JL Asayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Bureau of Customs.
Rescuers from different cities and municipalities trooped to Quezon City Memorial Circle to join the 3rd Rescue Summit held by UNTV. Participating teams came prepared, showcasing their state-of-the-art rescue gear. Here's why from Jun Soriao.
On the heels of a perilous yet successful cave rescue mission of a youth football team in Thailand that gripped the world, rescue teams from different Philippine government agencies convened to enhance their skills and knowledge in saving lives. Many watched as the trapped kids were taken to safety by coordinated rescue divers and survival professionals, stressing the importance of knowledgeable skills that can save lives during emergencies. At the Rescue Summit organized by the UNTV News and Rescue Network on Wednesday, rescuers display their respective team capabilities. Among them is the Marikina City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Group, which touted their solar and wind-powered radio repeater. This state-of-the-art equipment is important, especially when power and communication lines are down during disasters. They are the first city in the country to ever own such gear. Makati rescuers also in full force, displaying their safety and flotation devices to rescue people in times of deluge. They also have a concrete crusher, spreader cutter, and other extrication devices for victims trapped in confined and collapsed spaces. They also take pride of their 4 mobile command centers and an advanced one that can be used to establish communication lines during major disasters.
In case na magkaroon talaga ng big one, for example, tapos ang Makati City Hall is totally nag-damage, automatic, yung mobile command center, siya yung mag-act as main communication ng buong city.
It has its own cellular site, able to communicate within 300-meter radius in case of telecommunication signals back down. It also provides a wide view of the Makati business area by tapping through the CCTV cameras on the street. The mobile command center is also equipped with a 360-degree CCTV camera. The UNTV meanwhile showcases its array of drones that can be used in aerial damage assessment and rescue operations. These drones have already been deployed to disaster-hit areas such as in Yolanda-stricken Tacloban City in 2013 and the Mayon volcanic eruption in Albay this year. UNTV's dive team, firefighting and rescue devices are also presented. This year's Rescue Summit, in cooperation with the Department of the Interior and local government, is the third to be installed by UNTV since 2015. It is the one and only media outfit in the Philippines to integrate rescue in its news operation. Participating teams also hope to maintain their partnership to strengthen rescue capabilities and to promote disaster preparedness among Filipinos as we continue to prepare for the possibilities of natural and man-made calamities. Jun Suriao, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
To complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. ACT's OFW party list representative Anesito Bertiz accuses the Labor Department of charging overseas Filipino workers for an identification card which should be given for free. This is following complaints of some OFWs in the social media about the 720 peso fee in acquiring iDole cards. Dole previously said that the ID card can be used as a substitute for the overseas employment certificate, but according to Congressman Bertiz, it is just an ordinary card that no machine can read. He says Dole should follow its initial announcement to give it for free since his group donated the cards as a show of support and gratitude to President Rodrigo Duterte. In a statement, Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said that the employer should be the one to pay for the card and not the OFWs themselves. Bertiz, meanwhile, warns to file charges if the issue will not be addressed.
Sasampahan ko kayo ng reklamo sa Congress kasi it was donated for you for free. Bakit i-charge yung aking sektor ng ganung kalaki?
Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, defers the scheduled distribution of fuel vouchers to legitimate jeepney operators. Instead of launching it today, the agency says the distribution will be moved to July 17, citing last-minute adjustments in the system. This is following the decision of the stakeholders to release the 5,000 peso subsidy at one time instead of distributing it monthly by 800 pesos as initially planned. The Land Bank of the Philippines meanwhile assures they will process the changes to finally launch the program.
Binago yung amount. Ginawang one time 5,000. Ngayon ko lang nalaman. Hindi na namin itutuloy yung distribution ng 833. Plus, hihingi kami ng pondo. Kasi ang hawak namin pondo, para lang sa 1 month. No? Yun. So, funding at saka correcting the amount, matatapos yan sa Monday. Kaya ang distribution will be Tuesday.
Thousands of contractual workers of the PLDT occupy Mendiola Beach Arch this morning. The group marched to Mendiola after failing in their attempt to gather in Malacañang to talk with President Rodrigo Duterte over their contract service termination. They claim to have sent a letter to the office of the President last July 6th regarding their request, but they have not yet received any response. The PLDT workers wanted to ask help from the President to urge the PLDT to comply with the Labor Department's order to regularize its over 7,000 contractual workers.
Siya mayroong programa nito yung end of contractualization. Hindi nga pinatutupad ng basta-basta. Katulad ngayon, halos 2 months na itong order ng writ of execution ng Department of Labor, pero sinasabi ng PLDT na nagko-comply siya, pero wala pa rin nare-regular hanggang ngayon. Kaya wala kaming pagsusumbungan kundi sa Pangulo natin Duterte.
In other news, Senate President Vicente Sotto III is set to call for a caucus to tackle the draft federal charter submitted earlier by the Consultative Committee tasked by President Duterte to review the 1987 Constitution. The said copy includes the revision made on the provision for the election of the President and Vice President under the federal transitory government as requested by Duterte. Senator Sotto says he wants to study the proposal this early since they have to reconcile their position on the mode of amending the Constitution. He also believes that the 2019 midterm elections may be postponed if a law seeking such will be passed by the Congress.
We call for a Constituent Assembly. If we indeed pass a joint resolution calling for one, then we can decide if we can finish it by December or not and postpone elections.
But Senator Francis Escudero says that unlike the barangay elections, the local and national elections cannot be postponed without amending the Constitution.
Niniwala ko hindi pwedeng i-legislate yun dahil maliwanag sa saligang batas na nakasadon ang termino ng congressman ay 3 taon at magkakaroon ng halalan kada 3 taon. Ang termino ng mga miyembro ng Senado ay 6 na taon at magkakaroon ng halalan kada 3 taon.
In other news, police investigators are looking at politics as the motive behind the murder of Tawi-Tawi Vice Mayor Al-Rashid Muhammad Ali. According to Zamboanga City Police Chief Senior Superintendent Alan Nazaro, the victim was set to run for mayor in next year's election. He was also facing threats prior to his assassination. Ali was on board his vehicle when he was shot dead by motorcycle-riding gunmen. He died at the hospital after sustaining 2 gunshot wounds on his chest. The PNP is now reviewing CCTV footages in the area to gather some information on the possible identity of the assailants. Meanwhile, Vice President Leni Robredo and Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio are calling on the government not to waste the country's win over its dispute with China. This as the country marks the 2nd year of its victory in the arbitral ruling in the West Philippine Sea dispute. In the historical decision, the International Tribunal invalidated China's 9-dash line and ruled that China has no legal basis to extract resources from the surrounding areas.
Unfortunately for the Philippines, after the award was issued, President Rodrigo Duterte hemmed and hawed whether to demand compliance from China.
We can still prove that adherence to the rule of law is still more powerful than any uncertainty that can pull us apart. This is the day to celebrate that decision.
Malacañang, meanwhile, maintains that the government is addressing the maritime issues and that it continues to assert the Philippines' rights over the contested territories. And for the news abroad, here's Jovic Burmas from London, United Kingdom Live. Good afternoon, Jovic.
Good evening, William. U.S. President Donald Trump urges other members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, to immediately meet their 2% gross domestic product benchmark on defense spending. Trump, who is in Brussels to attend a two-day NATO summit, complained in a tweet on why there are only 5 out of 29 countries that have met their commitment. Trump at the summit also told other NATO leaders they should increase their defense spending to 4% of their country's GDP. A recent statement by the White House said that 8 NATO allies will reach the benchmark by the end of the year, and 15 are on the track of meeting the target by 2024. The cave complex in northern Thailand, where 12 boys and their football coach were trapped for more than 2 weeks, is set to be turned into a museum. Kat Dumaraos tells us why.
Days after the successful rescue mission of the 12 boys and their football coach from the flooded cave, rescue officials have said in a statement that the cave complex in northern Thailand will be turned into a museum. This would showcase how the operation unfolded, adding that it would be a major attraction for Thailand. The rescue group, though a bit thinner, are all now recovering in hospital. Video has been released showing them in good health and in good spirit, though they will stay in quarantine for a week. The Thai Navy SEALs have also published dramatic footage of the operation itself, showing how expert divers navigated the wild boar football team through the perilous journey to the surface. Divers who took part in the operation say the boys were heavily sedated to avoid anxiety as they went through the dark, narrow underwater passageways. The Tham Luang Cave is one of the largest cave systems in Thailand. It lies under the mountains around the small town of Mae Sai in northern Chiang Rai province on the border with Myanmar. However, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha says precautions would have to be implemented both inside and outside the cave to safeguard tourists. It's not clear if the museum would be operational all year round, as Thailand is prone to heavy floods during the monsoon season, which lasts from June until October. Plans to turn the rescue operation into a movie are also in the works, with 2 production companies racing to turn the extraordinary story into a film. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue, Thailand.
Several parts of China lay in shambles, with roads submerged in floodwater and houses damaged by strong gales. Meanwhile, a newborn baby was killed in North Dakota and dozens were injured as forecasters warned of more twisters on Wednesday. Here's why from Beverly Saison.
In China, heavy rainstorms and the devastating Typhoon Maria have wreaked havoc in several parts of China, inflicting widespread damage to buildings and leaving roads flooded. In Zhangjiang County, rain continued to fall on Thursday as firefighters and armed police are on standby to evacuate residents, while rubber boats and speedboats have also been deployed to the site as part of rescue efforts. Meanwhile, Typhoon Maria has left a trail of destruction after making landfall in Lianjiang County, East China's Fujian province on Wednesday. Many roads and houses in the county's Lutai village suffered extensive damage from the strong gales and huge waves brought by Maria. With the worst of the storm having passed, cleanup work gradually got underway on Thursday, and many of the villagers and boats that took shelter in other places have now returned. In Thailand, one more body was recovered on Wednesday, making the death toll rise to 47 in the sunken tourist ship's accident off the coast of Thai island of Phuket. According to a Thai official, so far all the missing tourists in the accident had been accounted for, but one victim is still trapped underneath the sunken ship due to weather and technical reasons. The Thai military says the next step of rescue work will focus on recovering the body and the ship. And in the USA, a tornado killed a 7-day-old baby and injured more than 24 people when it ripped through a trailer park in North Dakota on Tuesday, destroying many mobile homes. The National Weather Service says the tornado had wind speeds of 204 kilometers per hour when it hit the trailer home park. Forecasters warn that parts of the Midwestern United States could face more twisters on Wednesday. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Jovic Burmas, live from London, United Kingdom. And those are the reasons behind the news, July 12, 2018. On behalf of Rheena, Villamor-Camara, and Angelo Castro III, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
UNTV, your public service channel.
Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay.